Hi, I'm Ken Allen from Brooklyn Printworks, and today we are going to look at the venerable Hahnemühle Photo Rag Baryta 315 GSM paper, so that's a pretty good weight. Cotton base. This isn't alpha cellulose, fiber based. Supposedly high gloss, but this does have some texture to it. We'll see when we do a close-up comparison. And this paper's been out for 20 years. It made quite a splash when it first came out. It was one of the early semi-gloss on a cotton fine art paper, and probably one of the first that had the Baryta coating on it under the inkjet, which allowed them to get that surface, that semi-gloss inkjet surface, a little smoother. It is not the brightest white paper because it doesn't have optical brighteners in it. It's designed to be for fine art prints that don't fade over a century. So it's definitely very well made and gorgeous paper for a while. It was one of our main semi-gloss fine art papers. Now there's many options to pick from. We might compare this to a few similar ones. Also, this comes in 63-inch rolls, or 64-inch rolls, which we like because we can make really large prints with it. Let's go look at this in detail and get a better view of the texture and its brightness. Okay, I have a raking light set up coming from over there, really low angle so that we can see all the texture. This is the Hahnemühle Photo Rag Baryta. You can see that there's a little bit of texture. So we have the cotton paper, then the Baryta layer, and then the inkjet coating. And so the kind of the texture of the cotton paper is coming through, but otherwise it's a pretty smooth paper. I mean, they classify this as a glossy. We classify it really as a semi-gloss. And then right across the way, one of our favorite semi-gloss Hahnemühle papers is the Hahnemühle Photo Rag Pearl. That does not have the Baryta coating. Still the same archival qualities, no optical brighteners, etc. The texture is almost identical, that cotton feeling, although it's a little bit different, a little bit coarser because of the lack of the Baryta. And then for a smooth comparison, one of the smoothest papers out currently is the Canson Baryta Prestige 2. So just as a comparison, you can see the smoothness here. It has pluses and minuses. And for something completely different, the Ilford Gallery Smooth Pearl, which is an RC paper. So any texture that you may see here or not see, the paper itself support is completely covered up by the plastic. The plastic has a very slight pearly finish. And so there's the four. We're going to switch now to direct light to look at the white point on these. Okay, now we're going to look at the white points. The Hahnemühle Photo Rag Baryta here still. I want to talk a little bit about the white point and whether something is blue or yellow. A lot of times we refer to our fine art paper suite as being a bit yellow because when you compare them to a commercial optically brightened RC paper, they look yellow, but actually symptomatically they're they're neutral. So the Hahnemühle Photo Rag Baryta is fairly neutral compared to the Hahnemühle Photo Rag Pearl. It's just very slightly, probably imperceivably brighter and just a tad more neutral. The Ilford Gallery Smooth Pearl, which since it's an RC paper, you might think it would be brightened quite a bit and bluer, but it's not. It is a little bit bluer, not really much brighter. And so there's our plastic paper, RC paper offering for when people want that photo lab print look. It's kind of our hedge. We don't go all the way to a super blue paper, but the Ilford is good in between for that. And then the brightest paper out of this suite is the Canson Baryta Prestige 2. It's very neutral, very bright. Canson's really aiming to get the most density range, so they've got this paper fairly bright. There we go. Okay, so we have two prints on the wall, the Hahnemühle Photo Rag Baryta, and then for comparison, the Canson Baryta Prestige 2. First thing I'm going to look at is the highlights. Again, the Baryta white point, quite neutral, fairly bright, not quite as bright as the Canson paper, but it actually makes a very gorgeous high-key image area. I'd love to do a nice high-key print on this paper. I'm sure it would just be really luscious. The saturation and tonality and the highlights are gorgeous. Now let's look at the midtones relative to the Canson paper. This is where the Hahnemühle is really shining, like its midtones are super saturated, super sharp, really gorgeous. And then let's move on to the darker tones, darker midtones, still keeping a really good contrast and saturation all the way down into these darker midtones. Now, let's go to the more challenging areas, the really shadow areas. And I'm going to use this area is always the most difficult. This little section here, there's all these little I-beams, corrugated steel, and pipes. On the Hahnemühle, you do get hints of the detail in there and that things are still going on. But because of the Canson paper, this one newer Baryta Prestige 2 has kind of the biggest density range of the Baryta papers that we've tested so far today. It lets you keep a lot of that mid-tone contrast, and then also there's a whole scale of tones in this region, meaning like you can see from bright getting a little darker, and you just keep stepping down and you can see all the detail. In comparison, the Hahnemühle Photo Rag, it's giving you the hints of detail, but it has quite a bit of a limit there. Being a 20-year-old paper, though, it's absolutely gorgeous. You can make gorgeous prints on it. Obviously, that could be just compensated in the printing. You can open up a little bit, which might take down some of the mid-tone contrasts as compensation, but a really gorgeous paper. The Hahnemühle Photo Rag was a gorgeous paper and real winner when it was first announced, and remains a fantastic paper to work with.